In this presentation, the aspect of Czech culture I'll be informing you of is art, specifically two different types, Romanesque versus Gothic. Romanesque, the background and origin. The name gives it away. Romanesque architecture is based on Roman elements. Romanesque art started as a pan-European movement which originated in France. It flourished in Europe from 1100 to 1230. The design came from the Roman vault, which revolved around security. Examples of this style are often found in fortresses or castles to defend against attacks. As a side note, in Britain, the Romanesque style became known as Norman because the major building scheme in the 11th and 12th centuries was instigated by William the Conqueror, who invaded Britain in 1066 from Normandy in northern France. The Normans were the descendants of Vikings, Norse or Northmen, who had invaded this area over a century earlier. Some features of Romanesque. The rounded arch is the literal basis for structures built in this style. This is a two-dimensional structure, oftentimes spanning across an opening. A barrel vault is the simplest form of vault, which is a series of arches placed side by side, so basically a tunnel that has a rounded top. The groin vault is produced when two barrel vaults intersect at right angles. When constructing these vaults, they use thick masonry walls and basic geometric shapes to aid in supporting the structure. Since support was an issue when creating these, windows had to be small. Early Romanesque ceilings and roofs were often made of wood, as if the architects had not quite understood how to span the two sides of the building using stone, which created outward thrust and stresses on the sidewalls. An example of a Roman building is a rotunda. A rotunda consists of naves that are often 5 to 6 meters in diameter. Naves are used to accommodate most of the congregation. Another rotunda aspect is adjoining apse, which is just a large semicircular recess in a church. They usually contain the altar and are typically located at the eastern end, if possible. So on to Gothic. The origin and background. Gothic architecture originated in northern France in the 12th century and was a gradual evolution of the Romanesque. The style spread rapidly to England and the European mainland. It was the dominant expression of the Gothic period into the 15th century. Gothic architecture demanded major financial resources and the best artistic talent medieval society had to offer. The most magnificent characteristics of Gothic style were the use of light and relationship between structure and appearance. Other defining characteristics were that the massive thickness of the walls from Romanesque architecture were replaced with membrane-thin framework used for enclosure which could support nothing but their own weight. Rib vaults were used to allow lighter materials to be placed between stone ribs, thus reducing weight. The weight of the walls and roof were no longer supported by columns, but external flying buttresses. A buttress is attached to the main structure by an arch or half arch, which is used to transfer the weight from the vault to the buttress. They also use pointed arches and slender columns to lift the ceiling, which created an overwhelming height. Wall paintings, which had been common in the Romanesque, were now replaced with beautiful and enormous stained glass windows that allowed more light into structures. And as a side note for that, the cathedral at Chartres was built during the Gothic period, and it showed an ideal of harmony within its structure and contents. Work on the cathedral started in 1194 and was mostly completed in 1220. It emphasizes strong vertical lines in its structure. The stained glass windows are used in this cathedral. It has 176, are recognized as the finest examples of the Gothic style. Today, 94% of the stained glass is original and is the largest, most extensive collection of medieval glass in the world. So to sum up these two, Remember that Romanesque is mostly barrel vaults, rounded arches, thick walls, horizontal, as in modest height, not too tall, and oftentimes dark and gloomy from small windows. And Gothic is mostly groin vaults, pointed arches with exterior flying buttresses, vertical as in tall or soaring, light filled from large stained glass windows. And that's it.